Hey guys, welcome back. DripCoach here with Drip and Farm for Poverty, where we don't trust, we verify and operate with integrity and transparency. Today, we're diving into a fascinating concept, the emotional cycle of change and how it mirrors the journey of many crypto investors. So if you're tired of getting wrecked, you're going to want to recognize this pattern, and I will show you how. So stay tuned. All right. You may or may not be familiar with this model, the emotional cycle of change. But I've been, I could say, studying this or regurgitating this over the last couple of years, especially building business out here in Cambodia and the many different businesses that I've done in that time frame. And recently, I saw this clip from Alex. And I'm gonna play that for you because he describes this.
I need to keep learning. Wow, this is actually really hard. There's a lot more pieces to this than I understood at the beginning. I guess this is why everyone isn't rich. And then something magic happens. You then start to have informed optimism. You now start to realize you've wrapped your arms around whatever the opportunity is or whatever thing you're pursuing. And you're like, okay, I haven't gotten there yet, but I understand the math. I understand the process of getting where I am to where I'm trying to go. And ultimately, this is what I'm trying.
So this is from the business perspective, and you can use this almost in anything. If you've seen yourself going through analyzing different opportunities or taking different paths or whatever the case may be, this cycle of change is exactly that. So it's just change and your emotions tied to it. So it's not specific to business, but what you have here is, especially in business, and I'm gonna show you how this relates to crypto and how this is specific to avoiding getting wrecked over and over and over again. So in stage one, you have the uninformed optimism. You don't know what you don't know phase. You have a great business idea. So you're up here, everything seems great. You've seen a friend do this, or you saw a YouTube short or some kind of advertisement. You're like, oh, I can definitely make money in that. This makes perfect sense. And then you start trying to do it. Reality kicks in and you realize it's not as easy as it looks. So you started out on this high note and now you're into informed pessimism, right? And you realize it's way more work than you thought. And then you get to this valley of despair. So the valley of despair is, oh, I picked the wrong niche. I'll just pick something else. I'll just make more stories. If I do X instead of Y, there's so many things that you'll try. It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. You'll be down here and you're just like, okay, eventually after enough trials and errors, you decide to do it again. And your chart now looks like this. So you go into this new thing and you have uninformed optimism because you don't know anything about it again. So you start the cycle over, but you were up here previously, especially if you invested money. But most of us, if you're doing business, you're just investing time, but you can see how this relates to a project. So up here, you have X amount of time and money. Then you've drained that time and money all the way down here. You can't get that time back, but you go in instead into a new project with the time you have now, pour into that, start all over, and then it just looks like this over and over and over again. You can see this is just a downward trend. It's going absolutely nowhere. This is the what we call DeFi space, and all the shiny new projects jumping up, popping off over and over and over again. And you hear something new, so you're like, okay, this will work for me. And there will be a few that don't get wrecked, but history has shown us that if you continue this trend, you just end up getting wrecked over and over and over again because you're just jumping into a new shiny object. And that's exactly what the market of psychology looks like. So if you were to like consolidate this or compress this initial phase here, uninformed optimism, that's any of this where you're jumping on the bandwagon and you're like, you get lucky and it's going up, or you catch it at the peak, whatever the case may be. Then all of this becomes this uninformed or informed pessimism. It's where you start to understand more about the project and more about the devs and the community and all this other stuff, and more about the market cycle in general, whatever, right? So it starts to come down in that regard because you now have more understanding. You've actually done your own research. Then you're somewhere down here in depression or the valley of despair. And what generally happens after you just got wrecked is you go find another project to ride this part of the train up again, from depression back up to euphoria. So it's literally this cycle of change. Like I said, it ties into multiple different things, but you can definitely see it in the crypto sphere, especially in the DeFi space. There's a project floating around right now that I saw popped up in my Telegram. What is it? Mint Stake Share. I'm not even gonna show it, but I'll mention it. And I saw it before it got hyped. So now I've seen a bunch of other of the content creators shilling it, and I saw it before any of them were going to promote it. And I looked at it and realized that it had some holes, as does everything else. So right now it's floating around and people are making some money or whatever. It's gone up and blah, 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 but it's going to end up the exact same way. They always do. The only way to get out of this, focus on assets that have already broken out of that cycle. Your layer twos, your Bitcoin, these kinds of things that actually have market adoption and utility built into it. You cannot make money out of thin air. You're not the central bank. So that means any of these shit tokens and shit ROI dApps, or apps I should say, because they're not dApps, that liquidity has to come from somewhere, and it comes from those people that start out here with this uninformed optimism, just throw more money into a project and keep diving in, pouring more in, bring their friends in, whatever. Like I said, it's not that everybody gets wrecked, it's just the vast majority. Even if it's only 51%, it's still more than 49, but it's way higher than that. So that money has to come from somewhere, and the only way to get it is to get more lemmings to pile in and pray that they're going to get rich. Well, since there is no sound utility or use case or even outside capital coming in to offset the number of people that are draining the project, where is that money going to come from? It's coming from the new investors, the people with that uninformed optimism that are shilling it left and right. The YouTubers and content creators and stuff like that that are just using you and the rest of the community to just shit on you and take your exit liquidity. So, or use you as exit liquidity, I should say. But the solution, again, is focus on these projects, because these projects, especially like your ones that have built a blockchain on top of themselves, like BNB, Solana, Ethereum, these kinds of things, and then are adding utility in the form of mass adoption. And then there's more than just speculation on the token. It's actually, for example, ETH, BNB, Solana. These are the actual gas coins that allow for the validation to take place on a network. Like you can't run your car without some kind of fuel, be it electric or oil, gas based. You take that out, the car doesn't go anywhere. And if you're using a bike or something like that, that's your energy you're putting into it. That's literally how these networks operate. So these tokens have solid use case above and beyond speculation and hype. I was combining that. So I would say focus on those. And of course, as you guys know, I've been saying stack sats, because that's the only way to, in my opinion, outlive this cycle. Because even Bitcoin has these cycles, but at least you know when the next cycle comes back in, you will be back at all-time highs if you continue to hold. And as Raoul Powell says, just continue to add. Don't try to sell your Bitcoin, and just instead hold and continue to just add and add and add. That just makes more sense. And he's done the math to where you'll end up with way more than you would if you were trying to time the market and sell and buy back in at the lows. Because apparently, according to psychology, if you sell out, you're less likely to put back in what you got out, because now you're gun shy from all of this. So that's my 2 Satoshis on the matter. Let me know if you guys are familiar with the emotional cycle of change, and if you understand that analogy to avoid these pitfalls that makes sense to how to avoid getting wrecked. in this crypto space. All right, smash that HBO special, help brother out, like, subscribe, comment down below, and until next time, lift daily and achieve your impossible. See you. Want to pay your in real life bills with crypto? How about send crypto directly to anyone with a bank account? SPRITZ Finance is a decentralized solution to be your own bank and connect your crypto earnings to real world bills and payments. They do not take custody of your assets and allow support on multiple blockchains and Web3 wallets. Sign up below using my referral link and you will get $50 back when you make your first $50 bill payment with crypto. Additionally, I will be using referral bonuses to airdrop, donate, or burn based on community feedback. Sign up now.